continue. I give permission for you to
Okay,
record me.
here we go.
What? Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Annabelle!
Hey, girl.
Hey!
Hey, babe.
Oh, hugs through the screen. We're not together this week. How was your
So here we
trip?
are again.
You just got back from a magical trip. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. But first, let's address that we've recorded this podcast twice this week.
Oh, yeah, there is that. So, for the first time ever, we did a
Had,
redo.
we had a little whoopsie doopsie.
Well, I'm not quite sure what happened there, but
No, it was really weird actually.
it
I
was
just felt
weird.
it after we recorded and I was just like, something feels weird. And then you called me, and I'm so glad you did
Yeah.
because you were like, yeah, something feels weird.
Yeah, we
And
recorded an hour and 10-minute episode, and we were all over the place. We were just talking about random things that were really important, like really important things that had happened to us this week, but none of it really fit together, and we weren't being as truthful as we wanted to
no,
be.
that was the thing for me. I was holding back, and I didn't like how that felt.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable. Yeah, and I called you after. I didn't call you thinking that we were going to re-record the episode. I just kind of called you to like check and see. I don't know, almost like apologize or something. It felt really weird. Also, we have to remember that Mercury's in retrograde for all you spiritual people out there. So that messes with
Mercury is like
communication.
totally in retrograde right
And
now,
like the
and it's
communication is totally
like
weird.
really just like messing with my vibes.
So we decided to re-record. So here we are on the morning of our release because we always release on Saturday nights. So you guys are hearing an episode that was recorded literally this morning, which is unprecedented.
Whoopsie! We've never done that
Unprecedented
before.
in
We're
the
never doing it
history of the
again.
Lucy and Annabelle show.
I can't stop fiddling with my hair because I recently in solidarity with the Friends reunion got the Rachel, which was a huge mistake.
I see you're sporting a Rachel there.
I
I
hate
am
it.
sporting
Fuck, I
the
hate it
Matthew
so much.
Perry.
What?
I don't know, my hair
Are
is
you in need of a
glorious
haircut?
today. I am in need of a makeover in general, I would say.
Oh, let me do
When are
it.
you taking me shopping? You've been
I
promising
know.
me this for weeks and it doesn't seem to ever come to fruition.
Because you're fucking busy all the time. Literally, I have nothing on. I'll go anytime. I
Look
can
what I'm
do
wearing today. I'm wearing a moth-eaten sweater because of you, because you won't take me shopping.
a moth-eaten sweater. That's disgusting.
Well, look at it. It has holes in it.
That's the design, you dingus.
Listen, I pay a lot of money to look this. What did Dolly Parton say?
She says it
It,
costs a lot of money to look this cheap.
that's right.
Legend. Anyways, so we recorded and we deleted it in the trash, and here we are again. And let's just be honest and have a nice chat.
Look, let's be honest, people.
Let's be honest.
That's what we
So
show up
yeah,
here
I
for.
went to Carmel and with some friends, and it was great.
Yeah.
Um, we had a fantastic time, and it was really interesting to go there now, like again, because as some of you may remember, I went earlier in the year and had
Right.
a kind of really special time there, and it kind of that's where I sort of felt like my kind of self come back to life slightly. Um, so it was
Right,
interesting.
you had that
Yeah, I had
that
that
fun
dinner
with
with
your
my
sisters
sisters.
where you were
Yeah,
laughing and that had kind of been the first time that you threw your head back in laughter.
yeah. And so it was interesting to go back now where the weather was a bit warmer
And it
and
was a
also
big time marker that you went
mhm.
back during. Tell us about
Yeah,
what was
I was
going on.
there for the 6 month mark with since the crash, since the boys died. Um, And so that was
How was that?
interesting.
How did you feel at 6 months?
I felt a bit wobbly the night before, and we were out to dinner, and a couple of things had happened on the trip that felt very, you know how I am, everyone, you know how I am kind of a little bit woo-woo and spiritual, and I felt like I was visited a couple of times on the trip, and not necessarily by Ryan and Max, but by, as Lucy says, spirit.
Right.
There was two weird things that happened.
Oh.
Both of them happened at the dinners. So the dinner on the first night was, by the way, at this fantastic restaurant called La Bicyclette, which everyone should go to if they're in Carmel. The waitress came up and first of all had some wine. You guys.
Ooh! Was that your
I had a
first
glass
time
of
having wine?
Well, it was my first time having like a whole glass. Jeez. Definitely got a little
I
bit
tried to
tiddly.
force you to drink champagne 2 weeks ago on the
I
show, and that was
know.
a
But that was
disaster.
good. No, it was good. That kind of broke the seal for me. And I was like, oh yeah, I like the taste of this. And I'm fine. I'm not freaking out. The fear is that I'm going to get drunk and have a mental breakdown. But it's just silly. I need to trust myself better than this.
Well, you did. You took the leap. You had a glass, and
Yeah,
it
I had a
felt it.
glass.
Did you
It
get
felt
drunk?
nice. Yeah, it was definitely tiddly. But I felt safe because I was with my friends. So I was fine.
Yeah.
And the waitress came over, blah, 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 blah. And she said something which made me kind of giggle. And I was like, I love that you just said that. It made me feel like a naughty child or something. And she was like, well, look at you. She said, you are spring chicken. And she just went into this whole thing about how I have a whole life ahead of me and all of this stuff. And I was just like,
Whoa.
she was like, look at you. You have so much living to do. You have a whole life ahead of you. Enjoy your wine. Enjoy this dinner. Just, she went into this whole thing. I was just like,
I've never had a waitress say that to me ever.
it was so weird. And there was no thing which I said to her to create an environment where that would be something that she would say.
Right.
And I was just sitting there, and my friends and I were looking at her like, what? Fuck. We just looked at each other. Anyway, so there was that. And then the next night, which was the last night of the trip, I'd been fine all day. And, you know, as these anniversary type things, whatever, come up, I kind of brace slightly.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know how I'm going to react. And I think that obviously we're seeing a pattern here, everyone, is that I am worried constantly about what my reaction to things is going to be. I think because I've felt quite steady so far that I just am thinking to myself, well, surely I'm going to have a freak out and go crazy at some point. And it's sort of just, no, I'm not.
Well,
You know, I don't think.
these are big steps that you're taking. I mean, that is a big deal to have your first glass of wine. I
Yeah.
understand your fear in wondering what would happen if you got drunk. To be out in a restaurant. I mean, do you remember
Mm-hmm.
a couple months ago when you could not go out to a public place like that? You had not been out to eat since they died. You remember when we went to the party on my friend's boat and I like was holding you. There's a picture of
Yeah.
us where I've got my arm around you and I was supporting you to the boat and it was on the same runway dock
Wedding.
where you and Ryan had
Yeah.
gotten married. These are all big steps and
You're right. You're right.
not to be underestimated. And then at the anniversary of things, like a 6 month mark, the brain does weird things. It comes up
Mhm.
with so many strange thoughts. So,
Yeah, it does. And you're right. And I think that's the thing, listen, is that was the interesting thing about being in Carmel this time was I was sort of awake for it. I was there and enjoying it, but I was dipping in and out when I was there before. And I had those really special moments, but I was fully cognizant, is that the word? And
cognizant.
of my experience. So I was very there. And I think, thank you for saying that, because here's the thing. I am just going day to day, and I'm not watching me. I'm just doing the thing. So I don't think to myself, God, Annabel, you've come so far. You couldn't even go into a public space 10 weeks ago. Doesn't even cross my mind, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
And so,
remember
yeah,
that. This
yeah,
was
I
this
just don't,
this
yeah,
was maybe your what? Maybe your fourth time out at a dinner?
yeah, yeah. Um, so, and then the dinner the next night was where the really wild thing happened. And it was the last night, and I was feeling griefy, and I didn't want to bum everyone out. I didn't want to, it just, sometimes when you're in this space, it's like everyone else has moved on. It's been 6 months. And of course, everyone else hasn't moved on. That's bullshit. But, we're getting back to normal. I am trusted now by my family to go off and do things by myself and like take a trip with people and, all of that stuff. And we're
That
moving
also
forward.
applies. It also applies to the podcast because when I called you after we did our disastrous episode a few days ago that we're not going to be airing, you mentioned feeling the same in this situation where this six
Yeah.
month mark was very deep for you. And just you're breezing over it right now by saying I was griefy that day, but you told me that it was very, very difficult. So
Yeah,
you
it was.
have
It
the space
was.
here to be truthful about it. And it was a
I
tough
know.
day.
I think it's just I don't. I'm. There's the voice in my head going, "Don't bore everyone. Shut up."
Well, you're not boring me, and
Giving you
I'm the only
on and
one
on and
here,
on.
so keep going.
That's true. Yeah. Uh. So I went to the bathroom. I excused myself, as you love it when I say. I excused myself and sort of had a chat with myself in the mirror, as I do from time to time. Bitch, you better fucking get your shit together. Good damn now.
From the
Like,
morning, so from the time you woke up, it was on your mind, right?
yeah, it was. And
And you were
I
really
was
missing
really
Ryan, you
missing Ryan.
said.
I was really missing Ryan. And I went off to the bathroom to try and straighten myself out. And I came back and I'd made the decision in there that I wasn't going to say that I was feeling bad and missing Ryan loads. And because
Even
I
though it
didn't
was
really.
like you were
Yes.
brimming with
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
couldn't keep it
And
inside.
it was obvious as well. It's like it was obvious I wasn't quite myself. And so I went back to the table, and there was this young married couple at the next table, and they had this big, stupid, fluffy white dog that was a pedigree, and you know how I am. I'm like death penalty to people who don't rescue animals. It's
Hmm.
just one of my things. And it's so funny because all my friends bought their dogs.
Oh
None of them,
God, thousands
none
of
of them got,
dollars.
I know, for thousands of dollars. And it's like an ongoing joke about how horrible I am to that. I'm just like, ugh, I can't even look at it. Um, so do think about whatever you want about that. But I was looking at this stupid dog, and I was just like, God, that dog's so, I don't know. And this old couple came by and was like, oh, your dog's so lovely. Is it pedigree? And they were like, yeah. And I was just like, ugh, yuck. And then I realized that I wasn't angry about the stupid dog. I was angry because there was this beautiful young married couple with their stupid dog. And this old couple came by and was like, oh, what a lovely couple. And oh, your dog. And well, and I was like,
Fuck that dog.
that used to be me. What's
Right.
happened? You know? And I haven't had that feeling in a long time. I haven't seen a young married couple and been uh, angry.
Envious? Envious?
Just angry,
Angry.
uh, not envious. And
Angry.
yeah, angry. And I think it's because I was feeling so raw because it was 6 months that, I've seen loads of couples and I see them and I think, oh, sweet, lovely. Like, I know how that feels and they're going to have a wonderful relationship and the whole thing. What happened to me isn't going to be happening to everyone.
Mm.
And I said, I'm not angry at the dog to my friends. I was like, I'm angry because of the young married couple and I'm really
Yeah.
missing anything, but I'm feeling really sad and it's the last night of the trip and I didn't want to. And so I'm glad I just said something because
Yeah.
as we've noted before, when I don't say, hey, I'm feeling a bit sensitive, especially to those closest to me, I'm not giving people the opportunity to have an authentic experience. I'm not giving myself the opportunity to click in and have an authentic experience. I'm not treating myself properly. I'm not allowing others to treat me properly. And it's a good reminder to myself and anyone who may need it at this time, or you, or, you know, that
I
it's
definitely
really,
need it.
really important to just take a second sometimes, and you don't have to go and give everyone every fucking detail about how you're feeling, but to say, you know, I'm feeling slightly sensitive right now, and I'm just letting you know because I know I'm being a bit off and it's not a personal thing and I'm having a great time, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Just sharing. Share.
sharing, yeah. And I did that and immediately felt so much better, of course.
And your friends completely understood.
Completely understood, and they were like, we know you're not angry at the dog, because who could be angry at a cute fluffy dog? And so then what happened was, man came to the restaurant. You know how they play guitar at the
Yes.
restaurant
Oh my God,
sometimes? We
mortifying.
were at the most picturesque, charming, fucking angelic, cute little place ever. It had flower baskets, and it was in like a fairy house that looked like something from a fairy tale.
Ah,
And there was just candles and burning heaters, and it was just like, wow,
ah.
magique. And, you know, couldn't be more lovely and idyllic.
Mhm.
Uh, Along comes the guitarist, and there are a couple of things in this world, couple two tree things I cannot stand. I hate the happy birthday song. Hate that song,
You
happy
hate
birthday.
being sung
Just
happy birthday too?
can't
Oh, I'm so glad I
stand
have
it.
this information right in time for your birthday. Yes.
You
Go
know,
on
and
ahead.
everyone's like,
Tell me other
stand on the
things you hate.
chair, and it just, and I
And you,
hate when the guitarist comes to the
I
restaurant
hate it. It's so
and comes
embarrassing.
to your table and plays music to you. I feel like I want to turn my body inside out.
Me too.
I do not want to live in those moments. Please don't come near me. Do not look into my eyes as you sing this song. I hate it. And then everyone else is
Oh,
looking at you.
and the whole restaurant's looking at you. Oh, I
And it's
I
so
just
stupid.
I just
There was a
got
group of,
two really, really great things about you that I can use against you in the future. I'm so
you're not
excited.
invited to my birthday.
Oh, it's happening. You can't
No, you're
stop
not
me.
invited. So he comes, he's singing this song, and he comes over, and have I ever mentioned my obsession with old men and how cute they are, and I'm like obsessed with them?
Um,
My
no.
old man farm, which I'm gonna have.
No, an old man farm.
Yeah, like a retreat for old lonely old
I
men.
don't know that that sounds politically correct, but I'm sure your intentions are good.
If it's not politically correct, it's definitely something that I'm interested in. Um, it's a retreat farm for old men who are lonely
No
and have
women?
no one to take care of them. No, just old men.
Oh,
They're
okay.
just really much sadder than old women. They just look so much more lonely and helpless
Huh.
than the old women.
Yeah.
Women, we just get on with it. We crack on, we get through. But, you know, you've got these widowed old men.
How
They're all
much
on
is it
their
going to
own.
cost them?
Free.
Free.
Yeah, it's free.
Who's paying for it?
Me, I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to
Okay.
house them all. They're going to have lovely rooms with comfy chairs and beds,
Okay.
breakfast served to them.
Is it going to be an Amalfi?
Haven't decided yet.
Okay.
TBD.
Those are two. I'm sorry, I forgot. We don't
Yeah,
ask
another
those questions
episode.
yet.
Another episode. Another
So what
episode.
is that? What does little cute old men have to do with this singer at
So
your
he was one
table?
of them. He
Oh,
was
he
like a cute
was.
old. He was a candidate for sure for the farm, and
Did you slip him
he
your business card?
no, because I was trying to run away. Sat there, over he came, and I just thought, I'm just going to go with it. So I put my head on my hand and I stared lovingly into his eyes and maintained eye contact for the
Oh,
entire
how
time.
awkward, painfully awkward.
Oh, you know what? I actually kind of liked it.
Oh,
I've changed, and from now on, I don't think I'm going to hate it so much. Probably still the birthday song, but this I think I can manage now. Because it feels very pure. It's a very pure moment, I think, actually. So anyways, this old man's singing into my eyes. My friend opposite me looks at me, and his eyes have gone red and he's sort of welling up. And I looked at him and he's like, I know this song. I know this song. I'm trying to think what it is. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, the lyrics, and his eyes are getting red. And I've done it again and I've forgotten the thing.
Tell us the lyrics.
Hold on. Let me get this little thing here. Where's my little link? Sorry.
That's okay.
It's good because I have a cough that I've been holding in.
Okay, good. And I want to eat an apple.
Great. ASMR, baby. I'll give you a second.
Hang on.
You know, peanut butter and apple, not a thing that happens in the UK.
I know. Will is
not
like
a thing, but it's delicious, actually.
Will is horrified by my peanut butter and apple.
Oh, strawberry and mint in my water today, just to really spice things up. Okay, so I'm sitting at the restaurant, and my friend's looking at me. He's like, I know this song, and I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm trying to think of the words. And the man is singing to me in Spanish, okay? So he knows that he knows this song, but it's being sung in Spanish. He's trying to piece it together, but his eyes are welling up because he knows what the lyrics are. And just before this man had come up, I had told them, you know, I'm feeling griefy. And I was talking about how it feels like the crash was 100 years ago, but also it feels like it has just happened. And occasionally I'll be doing something and it's like I'm in that first moment again on the morning when it happened, when I realized everything had changed before I'd even got the call that they were dead. And I get taken back to that place sometimes completely randomly, which is so weird. I guess it's just classic PTSD. You're doing something and then all of a sudden you get hit with the memory.
Yeah, and you told me
about a very
about
physical feeling.
Your foot on that last step. You've mentioned you go back to that moment.
Yeah, it's that's the moment, is when I was walking down the stairs and as I was stepping off the bottom step into the living room, that's when I knew. And it felt like stepping down into forever. The world was just like, you know, like being underwater. And like I just was going down and down and down and sinking like a brick. And occasionally I'll be doing something and I get brought back to that moment, and I can very, very clearly feel it as though it's happening again, like it did the first time. So it feels fresh. And I was talking to my friends about that, and I said, you know, I know that this is going to fade. I know that this is PTSD. I know it's going to fade. And the reason I know it's going to fade is because the sound of the crash has gone. And if I see a crash or I see something, then it comes back. But it's not replaying in my head all of the time like it was. So my friend said to me, I've just realized what the song is that the guy's playing. And
what was it?
It is called Last Kiss by J. Frank Wilson and the Cavaliers. And the song is about a car crash. And the lyrics are, well, where can my baby be? The Lord took her away from me. She's gone to heaven, so I got to be good, so I can see my baby when I leave this world. We were out on a date in my daddy's car. We hadn't driven very far. There in the road, straight ahead, the car was stalled. The engine was dead. I couldn't stop, so I swerved to the right. I'll never forget the sound that night. The crying tires, the busting glass, the painful scream that I heard last. Well, where can my baby be? The Lord took her away from me. She's gone to heaven, so I've got to be good, so I can see my baby when I leave this world. Well, I woke up. The rain was pouring down. There were people standing all around, something warm running in my eyes, but I found my baby somehow that night. I raised her head, and when she smiled and said, "Hold me, darling, for a little while," I held her close, I kissed her. I held her close, I kissed her, our last kiss. I found the love I knew I would I found the love that I knew I would miss. But now she's gone, even though I hold her tight. I lost my love, my life that night. And we both just started crying.
Oof.
We just couldn't believe it. We couldn't.
That's a very obscure song from the 50s. Nobody, like,
And he was,
you rarely hear that. So most people have never heard that song before. That is,
and he was singing it in Spanish on like Spanish guitar.
and you were with
And my
someone who
friend
knew that obscure song.
And we just started crying, and you know, dinner was kind of over from that point because it was such a profound thing to happen. And the friend who said to me the lyrics and what the song was, he's not necessarily somebody that is super into ghosts, spirits, spiritual stuff, the other side. You know, he definitely humors me, I think, to an extent, and has, you know, an open heart to it. But I think it's definitely not in as deep as you and I are. And it really hit him hard. And he said to me, and I've never heard him say anything like this, he said, I think that was a visit. I don't know what else that could be.
Wow. Did the guy sing other songs?
No. Once he sang that song, he packed up his guitar and he left the restaurant.
Oh my God.
He came, he played one song, and he left the restaurant.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Well, that was Ryan supporting you on the 6-month mark.
Yeah, so crazy, so fucking crazy. And just that has been one of the craziest things that's happened. And listen, I know that not everyone believes all this stuff, and I know that people can tell themselves all kinds of things, and you know, you're coping. When you're grieving, you're coping. And I think there is a degree of things that you tell yourself to comfort yourself. For me, I just don't understand how, if so many grievers have the same story, and it's basically every single person you talk to. And I know this one lady who, completely atheist, not interested in these kinds of things. Even she, in the face of this, has been changed by it.
Yeah.
And when you experience a loss that's this profound, I think that you know, as we've discussed, there are varying degrees of loss and people leave at different times. Well, these are two very young, vibrant, vital people. And while they left, their work isn't done. And that is just the message that I keep getting again and again and again. And it's from all different people who knew Ryan and Max, and unconnected. As I've said before, Ryan knew people from all over the world and all different walks of life, and everyone has the same message. And it's just something I'm really interested in, and it's something I wanted to talk about, is how the dynamic can change between the living and the dead once the relationship shifts into one person being alive and one person being dead.
It changes so much.
It changes so much.
It really does. I've experienced that, and I know you're experiencing it with Ryan and Max and your dad.
Yeah, and my dad was my first experience of it. Experience of a relationship changing in death, and it was completely different than mine with Ryan. But when my dad died, I felt, and we all felt, and this is not going to make everyone happy to hear this, but we felt relieved.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dad was a quite tortured man. You know, and he had his problems. He had his drinking problems. He had his depression problems. He had intimacy issues. He was addicted to work. He was running at 100 miles an hour all the time in order to just get through the day and survive. And he wouldn't stop. So he was stopped.
Right.
And that relief I felt was something I felt really guilty about at first. And then it shifted because I began to realize that, almost like we were saying the other day about how you have to let people have their experiences. I believe that for the dead too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I felt relieved because I think he was relieved. And everyone close to him felt relieved because I think he was relieved. And my relationship with my dad changed because I was able to be with him as much as I wanted now. I was able to love him with no drinking problems, without his tortured human experience.
Yeah.
Just his essence made our dynamic completely shift and our relationship completely shift. But from what I felt from him was, he and I never got our time together when he was alive. The time that he wanted so desperately with me, that I read in his notebooks and his journals after he died, and in the letters that he never sent that I found by the fax machine, and, you know, all of that stuff when we were going through his house. He was craving time with me for my whole life, and he never got it. Well, now we can be together as much or as little as either of us want. There is nothing stopping us. And that has been so beautiful, because all the loveliest parts of my dad for us now as a family are what beams through. Of course, we're not rose tinting the situation. You know, of course, there are situations where, you know, both of us, me and my sister Sarah, think, oh God, thank God he's not here right now, it's be awful, or whatever it is, you know, and vice versa. Like, for instance, with this thing I've experienced now with Ryan and Max, my dad would have been there come fucking hell or high water. He would have slept in this bed with me for 6 months if that's what I needed him to do. He would have held my hand. He would have washed my hair. He would have walked me around the block. That's who he was. But the dynamics completely shifted. And with Ryan, it's profound, because everyone keeps saying the same thing to me, is that they feel he's at peace. They feel him there so much still. He's still that voice that's telling people, great job, that shit, don't do that. And it's almost like he doesn't have any of the hang-ups of the corporation that he worked at, or fucking health insurance, or this or that, or, you know, all these things that tie us down and make us have to live a certain way and make certain decisions. And, you know, he doesn't have to be wrapped up in this system anymore that he resented so deeply. All he wanted to do was be free and make music. But he was so programmed, as we all are, to get the good job and get the good salary and get the health insurance and
Grow
save
up
and invest and all those things and be serious. And, you know, that's what the world tells us, you know, and thank God he was that way, because if he wasn't that way, I wouldn't be taken care of right now. I wouldn't have the security that I have. But that was always at a price for me, was watching somebody I love have to live a life that they didn't really want to live. They wanted something else, but I knew, and he knew, he was never, ever, ever going to make a different choice. I said to him 100 times, if you want to fucking quit your job tomorrow and go and work at a piano bar, then let's do it. I want you to be happy every day.
Yeah.
Life is short. He was never going to do that, ever. You know, never. So now he is free of all of that.
Yes, he is.
And his whole message, which is leave everyone better than you find them, all of his messages, do the craziest things, say the thing that you know everyone else is thinking but doesn't want to say, put the crazy ideas out there, take the risk, say sorry later, all of those things. All of his messages are coming through so loud and clear and so unfiltered and so pure that it's like we have this deeper relationship than what we had almost when he was alive, which is incredible to even say, because we were thick as thieves. Ryan and I were the best of friends. Almost more than anything else, we were best friends. And that's how I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with him, because this was somebody that I was the greatest of friends with and knew I could do life with, you know, even when I was going to like tuck my tits into my belt and, you know, we were going to be old and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
When things get hard, who do you want to do life with? Well, that was him for me. And I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, I'm trying to tune back in. I just got taken somewhere else. So I'm trying to tune back in.
Where were you taken?
I'm criticizing myself.
You're criticizing yourself? Why?
Don't know.
Why are you criticizing yourself?
Literally don't know. I'm just like, this is boring. No one cares about this.
This is not boring. You are completely fine. This is important what you're saying. Just remember that everything you are experiencing is helping others, because everyone has had loss.
Yeah.
And you are, by sharing your experience, you're giving other people permission to think and feel and express the same things, because it's just
this is just hard stuff to talk about, because I know it sounds so crazy to people, but it's fine. Well, who cares? Ryan and I were playmates, you know, and so I know why I tuned out, because I was about to get really real.
Okay, go ahead and say it.
Our relationship has shifted now. I feel as though Ryan is able to love me now in a way that he almost couldn't when he was alive. And we are able to have a dynamic now that would have been impossible when he was alive, because the ideas of what we were meant to be doing as husband and wife, and the life we were meant to live, and the way a relationship's supposed to work, and all of those things doesn't matter anymore.
Mm.
All Ryan said to me from the day that we started seeing each other was, I want to take care of you. I want to give you everything your parents could never give you and didn't give you and should have given you. I want to provide for you. I want to put you in a house where there is music. I want you to hang your gypsy rags around and make your art.
Lord knows you got a lot of gypsy rags, girl.
Well, it's exactly what he's done.
Yeah.
It's exactly what he said he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now it's like we have this dynamic now where we don't have to worry about time or getting up and stress and artists that he has to deal with and deadlines and budget reports and what are we going to do at Thanksgiving and what all of these confines that almost stopped him being the soul that he was longing to be.
Okay. This is so important, everything you just said. Thank you for sharing it. I know it takes courage because you feel like it sounds nuts, but I will tell you that more people than you think can relate. You said it. Why are we all having the same shared experiences around death if it's not real? There's a program, if anybody wants to watch, on Netflix called Surviving Death, and they have episodes about different aspects of death. They have reincarnation, they have signs, they have near-death experiences. It's very informative, and they have the same point. They share many different people's stories from all over the world, and everyone says, if they say, I feel crazy, number one, and number two, but if everyone's saying the same thing, are we all crazy or is it real? And I have heard from many friends the same thing you're saying, that relationships shift after the person passes. I've felt it myself. I have felt it with my cat. For those of you who will laugh at that, I'm sorry, but it's true. My relationship with my cat has completely changed. My relationship with my grandmother, my grandfather. I'm not saying much here because I don't want to sound crazy, but I grew up seeing paranormal activity. I was in therapy.
Yeah.
I was in therapy as a child for seeing spirits.
Yeah.
And it's no accident that now I would be marrying Will, whose mother and father are the hosts of the #1 paranormal activity show in all of Great Britain.
And are dedicated spiritualists, and
his mother, his mother, Yvette Fielding, is an incredible medium and a psychic. And I have had life-changing experiences with her where we have done different communications with spirits, and I have seen tables lift off the ground. I have gotten messages. My grandfather came through a few days after he died and said that he is not an atheist anymore, which he was a lifelong atheist. I had my other grandfather come through who died in a plane crash. Robert Fiddler, at the age of 25, he came through and his message was, don't fly, ha ha. Now, when we were in the seance, these people didn't know they didn't know this. No. I'm the one going, holy shit, you guys, this is real. Okay, so I'm holding back in this conversation because, as you know, as I've shared with you, Max and Ryan came through a few days after they died. Yeah. And what they said to me about you is exactly what you just described about Ryan. Ryan told me, if you don't mind me sharing.
No, you can share.
That part of the reason that he had passed was to help you in your journey in ways that he couldn't have helped you in life.
Yeah.
That you were going to grow from this in ways that he could not have opened you up to in the physical. And I know that doesn't make it better, and I'm not trying to
No,
tell you
it's
don't worry, but he also shared that he is making music over there that was not possible in the
yeah.
physical realm. That
And it's
there are
all he
things,
wanted.
it's all he
It's all
wanted.
he wanted.
So when you say that all that human stuff was stripped away and that what's left is the essence of that
Mm,
person, that's what it is. And that is my bottom line here to say about this is let that be a lesson to all of us. You just said the most profound thing, Annabel. All that human stuff doesn't matter. It's the essence that we are
mm,
connecting with. And do you want to live your entire life being caught up in that human stuff and missing out on letting that essence come through and guide
mm.
your life? Are you willing to do that? Is that a sacrifice you're willing to make? Ryan wasn't, and I believe that that's why he left early,
He
as you just
knew.
said.
I mean, he knew, as I've said to you 100 times, and maybe I've said that here, I don't know, but he told me when we first met, I'm not going to live past 50. He said that to me. He's like, I don't know why I'm saying that.
He
I
would
don't
say it
know
constantly.
what's going to happen. He's like, I'm going to die by the time I'm 50. And we rapid, like, the growth that we experienced together in the 5 years that we were together was more than some people have in a lifetime. And we gave each other during that time more than either of us had ever been given. And that was one of the things that we loved about our relationship, is that we just lit each other up, and gave each other permission to be the essence. And
In that seance, when I asked him what his message was for you, he said, I'm sorry.
I know,
And
I know he's sorry.
I
I know
believe
he
it was
is.
because he had to leave, but he knew how, he was sorry for the pain that that would put you through. But he did everything in his power to take care of you
He
then
did.
and for the future. He
Yeah,
really, really did.
he did. And from the first month that we started dating, I remember looking at his life plan, was like out on his desk. He used to fastidiously go over it every week. And we had just started dating, and he had already put things in there that he had wanted to achieve for me, with me in mind, and to help me achieve, like go to college, because I had expressed to him that I wanted to go to college and do psychotherapy training, and he was so uh, dedicated to me. Even in the notes from the week that he died, he had a to-do list that he was constantly adding to. And it said 30% save, 70% Annabel,
What does that mean?
of the business account. And it was for my music. He was saving. I found out after he died that he hadn't taken a wage for the year that we had been working on other artists' careers. He had just been letting it sit there to pay for his music that he was doing, but he had left 70% of it in there for me to pay for my music.
It's beautiful.
And
So you have a responsibility to get this music out, girl. We're waiting for it. When can we expect new songs? I
I
know
know
you've
I'm
got them
trying
in
to get
that
my
brain of yours.
I know I'm trying to get my head around it, but
Yeah, he
it's
believed in you
just
so much, and everything you're saying, don't feel self-conscious at all. I can match your crazy as much as you want. I am right there with you. I completely understand what you're saying, and others that I've known do as well. So There's nothing
I
far-fetched about
felt
it.
it. Yeah, I felt it so much. And on the way back from the trip last week, I was, had one of my playlists on, and I love that song by Fleetwood Mac, Songbird. It's like one of my favorite songs of all time ever. And I've never really felt that it was about anything or anyone for me. And obviously since the crash, so many things mean different things to me now. And it was that song that came on, and I just, my breath was taken away, because I was like, he loves, the lyrics of the song are, what are they, for you, whatever it is, like, I'll give the world for you, all of that stuff. And the songbirds were singing like they knew the score, and I love you more than ever before.
Yeah.
I just felt those lyrics so deeply, and I was like, wow, I feel his love in this new way that is so much deeper and purer and more important in a way than maybe if we just kept going through life the way that we were.
All your human crap stuck all over you. Yeah.
And it's
He's
I don't know.
loving you.
I don't know if this is like a fucked up conversation to have or what, but
Well,
I just
look,
feel
the
like
only reason that
in the way that Dad felt, I felt relieved for Dad, because I was like, his suffering is over. I just have this feeling from Ryan now that he's soaring, that his spirit is soaring and
I do too.
Singing. That's how I feel Ryan now. And I have my own feelings. I feel mopey for myself, and I miss him, and I miss his voice and his little face and his funny expressions and his smell and, all of those things. I miss him. Yeah. His body. But
his physical.
Yeah, but for him, that feeling of his spirit soaring is like, wow. How selfish of me to want him to come back to this drudgery. It's
almost...
I mean,
I've experienced many seances with Will's parents and in my own life where you ask the spirits, do you want to come back? No, absolutely not. No, immediate no. And you just think, wow, if they all, I've never had one say yes. If they all say no, imagine
how
it's just mind-blowing.
Wonderful they
how
feel.
Wonderful and how humans are the ones that are sad about
life.
About wanting back, wanting the person back. But
I think that we definitely, I think it's like a choose your own adventure thing. Do you feel that way? Like your soul has lessons to learn and things it needs to do and see, and it comes here and it does those things.
Yeah, there's a book that really changed my life. Hang on, I'm closing this door. Oh, God damn it. Let me mark where I did that. There's a book that really changed my life called The Instruction by a writer named Ainsley MacLeod. I've probably mentioned it on here before. But it helps you figure out, if you believe in reincarnation, which I know not everybody does, but it discusses that very thing, that every lifetime our soul comes to learn different aspects of what it is to be human. And it helps you discover your purpose and your reason in this lifetime. And it's a workbook. It walks you through pinpointing exactly where you are in this lifetime. Not only yourself, but you can look around at people and pretty much figure out. I have a friend. She's not introspective at all. She's never had to work a day in her life. She's fine. She's happy. She's fulfilled. She doesn't question shit. I've never had a spiritual conversation with her. And for a long time, I judged her for that. And I thought, oh, she's just not deep. But
Mm.
after reading the instruction, I realized that probably in her last lifetime, she was like an army general or something that sent many men to their death, probably experienced a horrific death herself. In this lifetime, she just wants to chill. She just wants to relax.
Yeah.
You cannot judge anyone for where they are or how you think they're functioning because you don't know their soul's purpose and their journey.
No.
You don't know.
You know what's so interesting about that? I love that. I love that's an interesting way to think about it.
It helps you love people deeper when you remove that human judgment and just take them for where they are.
Ryan and Max and I were at dinner with some friends, and we were going around the table and saying, because Max was like, "You're a witch. You know things. I know you know things." Blah blah blah. And he was like, "What's going to happen to us when we die?" He said, "I want to know around the table which of us is coming back and who isn't." And as in, like, what's your next time around? And I was like, oh, for God's sake, as if I know that. And anyway, we went around the table, and it was the first time I'd really thought about like that kind of concept of my friends' souls and spirits in that way. And I personally feel that this is my last. I hope it is. No, I hope this is my last go around. I don't think it is. And with Ryan, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if he was coming back or not. And now I don't think he is. I think he's done. I think he's done. I think he's out and he's happy to be out. And
well, we'll see what he says the next time he comes through.
I know, yeah. And then I think that can, like, for instance, while we're here, I think it can change. So I felt a couple
it does
of things.
change.
Yeah.
Your purpose can change through your lifetime. That's why people will be pursuing one career or one thing, and then they will lift out and have a completely different life experience, and their life looks nothing like it did 5 years ago. That's why, because your purpose can change many times throughout your lifetime.
And I really recently have felt myself go, wow.
Me too.
I think because the last 6 months for me have just been, I've been in my morning suite, you know.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this loss has been a profoundly spiritual experience, and I don't want to say religious, it's not religious, it's spiritual, but an unveiling, you know. And
yeah,
I think maybe that's why I was in tune enough to feel myself go like 2 ticks to the north or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it happens and you're not even aware that it's happening in your life, but other times it is.
I've never been aware of it until now. And I wonder if when different people come into your life, does it change that? Does it change the deal? Are you signing a new thing? You know, I always talk about the deal. What's the deal when you came here? You know, because I feel strongly that Ryan and I made a deal.
Yes.
He made me every week promise him things.
Yeah, we have different spiritual contracts that we fulfill, and then that person leaves your life.
Yeah.
Your work is done. By the way, we are at 1 hour, so we'll do about 10 more minutes.
I mean, we can cut. There's a bunch of shit I want to cut out.
Are you
Not
serious?
loads. Well, there are some things, but
okay.
Let's go to. We can like play some music there or something. Play some Songbird, and then we'll just go into like your vibe.
All right. So at 59, play Songbird.
Speaking of paths changing.
Yes.
little miss thing over here. Your path changed a year ago
Oh
when
my
you
God.
left. And I just want to check in with you because I know you've not done the dinner with your mummy yet,
I have not done the
where
dinner
you were
with my
gonna
mom.
explain to her about what actually happened with you a few years ago when you guys lost contact
Right.
and the high control group
Right.
and the effects that that has had on your life and your relationships. And you are now in the process of basically deprogramming yourself from that. And I've been asking you week after week about the dinner, and that's silly that I'm focusing on that because really that's not what the focus should be on.
No,
I'm a nosy bitch.
you're keeping me accountable, and you care because you're very involved in your friends' lives. You don't forget things I tell you. You're always like, what about this and that and this? And you keep me accountable, so I appreciate it. Yeah, I have not gone to dinner with my mom yet. I'm seeing her tonight, so maybe I think that will be when I bring it up.
Just the two of you tonight, or
My sister's going to be there, but then she's coming back to my place to spend the night, so
great.
I think I will get into it with her then. Yeah,
Approps.
it's
Approps.
my purpose, my life completely transformed since I left this group a year ago that I know I've mentioned in a couple episodes. I don't speak about it much. I try to downplay it because it's a very private thing. And it takes courage to talk about because I've mentioned before all these feelings mixed in of shame and embarrassment and confusion. And the bottom line is that it is something I think is more common than we know to have been under narcissistic abuse, which is what I was for 10 years with a specific individual.
But in a group setting.
In what would be called a high control group setting, exactly. And the path, the journey of making sense of all that aftermath is really uncomfortable, but also liberating, completely liberating.
Mm.
And I just want to move forward clear and in my own self. I don't want to blame or stay angry. I
Because
want,
you've been a bit angry the
I've
last week
been,
about that specifically.
it was an angry week. Yeah. And that's because all of this stuff's coming up. I'm bringing
Yeah.
it all up by doing the work, by doing the research, and by actually doing the work of separating out my thoughts and figuring out what's really my voice and what's the abuse talking. And
Ugh.
it's not easy. It causes somebody to be really confused and really afraid. And for anybody who thinks that they have been under narcissistic abuse, I would urge you to find out for yourself, to Google these terms, to do your own research on it. And there is a lot of support available to you. And I had a really interesting, profound experience this week with it. I'm reading a book right now called Out of the Fog by a woman named Dana Morningstar. And I was driving home on the freeway and I was listening to the audiobook. And she read one passage. She includes in her book a lot of different people's experiences, just like the stuff about death. It's really good to hear other people's experiences because you realize, oh, I'm not
Mm.
crazy. And that's been
Right.
the main work of this recovery is I felt crazy. I was made to feel by the abuser that I was making it up, that I was wrong, that I was insane. And when I left there, I spent a while feeling insane.
And I'm sure you still do.
I still do. I still do. That is the most harmful part of the abuse is that you don't know who you are. You don't know what's you and what's the abuse, and you don't know if you're insane. So you're reclaiming your sanity is what you're
And
doing.
what you mean by that is sort of, okay, my reaction to this situation, oh, I'm having a disagreement with somebody, and then you walk out and you realize, wait, that's not what I think. This is just the
Exactly.
programming, or,
Yeah.
your outlook or your point of view. That I think is something that would be worth sharing, because that is one of the most damaging, I think, effects of an abusive or coercive relationship, is that you start to see the world through the eyes of this fucked up person
Exactly.
that has taken control of you in this really insidious way. And
Exactly. Yeah, I
that
had
can
a
be a group, and it can be a relationship with a mother, father, sister, spouse,
yes.
all.
Yes,
Because some of
yes.
us
All,
have
yeah.
one establishing relationship like that, a parent or sibling or whoever, and then go on to repeat that pattern, as I did.
Yeah.
I am
Pull it in many times.
deeply attracted to narcissistic workaholics or addicts.
Right.
That's my abuse kind of,
Comfort
oh, I
zone.
want that.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it's very comfy.
it is. Yeah, I was having an argument with Will the other night, and I was really upset, and I couldn't let it go, and I was angry, and I kept hammering my point home and trying to force it on him. And I stormed out of the room, and I re I came back in, and I said, I I want to apologize. I'm not really sure if what I'm saying to you is me or the abuse talking, and I'm really confused, and I need your compassion right now, and I need to have compassion for myself because I feel like a fucking fool.
That's got to
But
be so hard, Lucy. That's got
it's
to be
just
so hard. And
separating your thoughts out and reclaiming you. So I was on the freeway. I got to this part in the audiobook that was some woman's story, because there's many people's stories. And this to me hit so hard. It was like the core of my experience and the thing that makes me the most emotional. And it went like this. In all cases, I always took all of the blame, and I always decided it was something I was doing wrong, and that it was always something I needed to fix about and within myself. Be funnier, be quicker, be smarter, be prettier, be happier, be more agreeable, be less needy, be less jealous, be thinner, be stronger, be more understanding, be more compassionate, be more empathetic. And it was always all on me. I've always known you cannot control anyone except yourself, so I went to war against myself. And I tried to control, mangle, and corral myself into being perfect and into being able to tolerate and accept anything without needing or wanting anything and without judging or discerning anything about anyone ever. And it still wasn't enough. And I saw that as that passage was being read, I was at this spot on the freeway where 5 years ago, in the thick of this abuse, I had been tempted to run my car off of the road at 80 miles an hour. Not that I wanted to die, but I wanted the pain to stop.
yeah, very different things, as
Very
we've said
different
before.
things. I,
Yeah.
I said, I've told you that before, I said I wanted to die, and you're the one that said, no, you wanted the pain to stop, and that's correct. I've never wanted to die, ever. But I needed the pain to stop. And I almost smashed my car. I really did. It was the scariest moment of my whole life. And as I heard this passage, I was at that exact same spot on the freeway. And
Wow.
and and it felt very divine. It felt like it
Yeah.
was from spirit that I would have turned it on for that moment to line up with that spot on the freeway. And then, as if that weren't enough, it says the name of the person who gave that quote. Lucy. And I just burst out laughing because I felt so supported. Like I was being told, you are on the right path. Keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going. You are not crazy. You are healing.
No, you're
And
not.
what you were under was abuse. Make no mistake about it. So I
Make
want
no
to,
mistake about it. I
no,
mean, it on now you are in the position you're in, so far away from it. There is no question, and
no
the
question.
research that you've done and all of that. You know, if you ever need a reminder, which I don't think you do, it's
Oh, you
I
do.
will
Oh,
fucking
yes.
remind
Your brain fucks with you. You definitely need reminders
I
every
will
day.
fucking remind you because that
It's factual. It's factual. It is scientifically studied. It is a thing. It was abuse, and it is
yeah
still continuing with many people in that group. And let's not even go there because sometimes I just want to take a sledgehammer and break the whole thing apart, but I won't because live and let live. Uh,
I want to take a sledgehammer and break that bitch apart.
all I can do is take responsibility for myself, but not in the way that that quote described, because it says, I've always known I can't control anyone except myself, so I went to war against
Yeah.
myself. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
will not do anymore. I am not ever
No.
going to be. I have another medium in my life who I've known for 15 years. His name is Dr. Ryan. And he told me multiple times, you are at war within yourself. And he didn't know what he was referring to because I didn't tell anyone I was in this abusive situation. But that's what it was. I was at war with against myself for so long. And that's what I am no longer willing to do ever again. And so that's been what my week's been about. As I'm busy with my projects, which I am creating a television show right now and doing all kinds of stuff and working on a book. I've been working through this personal stuff,
Yeah.
and I wanted to share it here because I think it is common, and I think people are under narcissistic abusive dynamics and they just think they're nuts. But I want to say very clearly that you're not nuts, and there are many resources that I will offer in our show notes that will help you.
Yeah. I mean, with regard to smashing the whole thing apart, I would uh also let's like not worry unless you have to go about time. If it's a longer episode, it's a longer episode. I
That's
think,
okay. I have like
um
10 more minutes.
um I think that with regard to you saying like, oh, I want to smash the whole thing apart,
Yeah.
that's like so frequently my reaction to things. Like, you know,
Yeah.
how I went through that phase or with that specific situation where I was like, this isn't right and this shouldn't be happening. And I want to bust in the saloon door and shoot the roof and like the whole
Yeah.
thing. I was in this zone where it's like, it's on me. I've got to be the one to stop this. And it's like, no, I really don't. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And that was when we were talking about the live and let live stuff, as you said. But also, what the message I was getting at that time was constantly as well, if I was willing to listen, was live and be the example. So you don't need to bust down the doors of the high control group and bring a bitch down. And, you know, if the best way that you can affect change in that group is
To
by
speak out
to speak out, live out loud your experience.
and do the work to get myself back on track.
Exactly. And that's the best way you can dismantle something like
Yeah,
that, is by being living proof that it's bullshit.
Reclaiming the self. I think that's what we're all after in life. And I don't mind feeling ashamed and embarrassed as I get that message across.
God, yeah, it's been such a crazy thing for us this week. Like, we've both been feeling, I mean, me specifically, this week has been so crazy for me with self loathing, like judgment stuff, and I haven't felt this way in such a long time. I feel like it's really coming to a head in me where I'm just judging myself so harshly, and I I'm trying to be a bit more like you at this moment, specifically where you're saying, like, I don't mind being, you know, going out on a limb or being humiliated or whatever. And I guess it comes from leads into the conversation that we had last week with Nova about that voice in our head that is so persistent, that
the ego
is going, the ego, and you talking about going to war with yourself. You know, that voice in me is strong at the moment, really, really strong. And I'm desperately trying to have it shut the fuck up, because it's robbing me every day of...
It does rob us of our life.
I mean, it fucking robbed us of an hour and a half of our time this week because I would just couldn't
break through that ego.
No.
That didn't want to go there.
Even today, it was, you know, I had to tune back in and stop for a second because I could feel myself going outside myself, watching myself going, what are you talking about? This sounds crazy. You're a dumb bitch. Like, the whole fucking time.
Me too. I'm like, nobody wants to hear about narcissistic abuse. It's so boring. But then,
oh my God,
like
it's not boring.
Just remember that every one of us goes through the same thing. And by saying it out loud, you give each other permission to do the same. That is the biggest help you can give someone. It's like, it's so important. And I know how much it's meant for me when others have done that for me. So it's also ego to think that you are being boring. That's also it's ego to stay small. It's ego to stay hidden. It's ego to stay quiet. You're not helping anyone when you're not sharing.
Yeah, like being so self-deprecating that it's almost...
Low self-esteem is ego. I know that's a really heavy thing to say because people say, well, that can lead to suicide, but it is ego because you've got your head up your own ass. You're not concerned with anyone else and you're not sharing. You're focused on yourself.
Inward completely. And that is fucking true. And when I woke up this morning, specifically for me, I've been so, like, all of my eating disorder stuff since the crash has been so intense, and it's getting worse and worse. And in my head, like, physically I'm fine, but the thinking behind it, the kind of what would be called drinking thinking, but whatever the eating disorder version of that is, has been so bad to the point now where it's like becoming obsessive. And this morning
is that a worrisome thing? Because there's only a small jump to it becoming physical again.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Do I need to be monitoring this situation?
No, I mean, Sarah's monitoring me constantly, but the reason I'm saying it out loud is for the exact thing that you've just said, about keeping each other accountable and sharing and going outward. And what Jeff said to me, my therapist, last week was, we all need to find a support group who keep you focused on your inside work. And the group should encourage the individual work. And I think that that's what we do here for each other and for listeners. And I think that's a really good message for us this week. And also just in general, is like, stop, get out your fucking head, get out of your way. If you feel like shit at dinner because you're feeling really griefy, then just say something. If you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about here, I want to talk about whatever I want to talk about here. This voice going, you sound dumb, you sound stupid, this is boring. It's like, shut up, just...
That's boring. That voice is boring.
So boring.
That is the only thing that is boring in all of this. And to say something out loud so you can allow yourself to be held accountable for it takes a lot of courage. And I think I challenge everybody this week, whether you want to write to us and tell us what you want to be held accountable for, we will hold you accountable. Or if you want to say it to someone in your life, a family member, a friend, a partner, just tell someone something that you want to be held accountable for. Simple. It could be simple. You know, I want to brush my teeth and floss every night before bed. and I want you to check in and make sure I've done that every night. Or it could be anything.
I want to
Or,
be reminded to put my Invisalign in because I keep forgetting.
well, I hate your Invisalign because it's changing your teeth, so I am not going to remind you to do that.
I know, I never wear it when we speak.
You are keeping me accountable for speaking with my mother and giving her the apology that I have wanted in my heart to give her for a long time now. So I am off today to go do that. I'm going to go with her to the museum this afternoon. And
Good.
what can I keep you accountable with this week? Not having a full-blown eating disorder relapse?
No, I woke up this morning, I was like, how dare I be such an asshole to the body that literally got me through the most terrible, traumatic time of your life.
Yeah.
And this is how you're going to thank it by shit talking it. And
Yeah.
that kind of jolted me out of it. Like, whoa.
It should. I hope you keep remembering that because our bodies have
Sorry,
gotten
what do
us
you
through.
want? Like, what do you want, Annabel? You know, and that's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at with that is like, just shut the fuck up. It's unacceptable. So yeah, if you want to check me on it, fine.
Okay. I will.
Bitch, remember your body got you through this.
Yeah.
All right, babe. Well, listen,
Good
this
stuff.
has been great. Not the lightest, breeziest
Not the
episode.
lightest, breeziest episode, but very necessary. And um, I think will unlock a lot of freedom in people to have the, chance to say their own shit out loud to somebody in
Yeah.
their life. I hope
Or
everyone's
hopefully at
inspired to
least
do
not
the
feel
same.
alone.
Not feel alone, not feel crazy. Say it out loud. Say it out loud.
Fuck yeah.
Love you.
Love you.
Yeah.